Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Williams, and I am going to be talking about exercise for the prevention of Alzheimer's and dementia today. So, to begin, I want to first briefly go over some of the general health benefits of exercise in general. I think a lot of people are familiar with the benefits of exercise, not necessarily related to our brain and cognitive decline, but in health in general. Um, we know it helps control our body weight, promotes a positive mood, even has mental health benefits, regulates blood sugar and decreases insulin resistance, promotes better sleep, and overall, after spending time exercising consistently, someone would develop increased strength and endurance. The main reason I wanted to do my project and focus my topic on dementia and Alzheimer's and how exercise can be used to prevent it is because it's close to my heart. Both my mom and my grandmother, which is her mom, my maternal grandmother, have passed away from early onset Alzheimer's. And early onset Alzheimer's has a stronger genetic component than other forms of Alzheimer's and dementia. So naturally, I've wanted to look into ways that I can prevent this disease from happening to me. So I've been interested in using exercise as a form, not only for the obvious health reasons listed before, but also to protect my brain health and delay onset of dementia or prevent it if I can, as best as I can. So just briefly want to go over dementia and Alzheimer's and what the difference is. I remember when my mom first got diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2016, the neurologist described dementia as a symptom of Alzheimer's. And so dementia is sort of an umbrella term used to describe the syndrome of overall memory loss and cognitive decline combined with loss of some of the executive functioning skills associated with memory loss. So dementia can be caused by a vast amount of different diseases or procedures. Could be related to certain cancers, thyroid issues, strokes, there's many different neurodegenerative diseases aside from Alzheimer's, Lewy body dementia, Parkinson's disease. All of those can have dementia as a symptom of it as well. Alzheimer's specifically is a disease where amyloid plaques build up in the brain, and this is the most widely researched and thought out, and kind of the general consensus among the scientific community is that Alzheimer's is caused by the buildup of these plaques in the brain. However, this typically cannot be diagnosed officially until post-mortem, and when they go in and do brain scans and to see specifically where the brain plaques are, because they don't show up specifically on functional MRIs or any MRI CAT scan technology we currently have. My mom got her diagnosis through a spinal tap, a lumbar puncture that showed that she had tau proteins, which are closely linked to the amyloid plaques. But they can't officially say that someone has Alzheimer's without going and looking specifically at their brain post-mortem. And Alzheimer's, again, it's the most common form of dementia. It's most well known. It is a progressive neurodegenerative disease, meaning that it does not get better, it gets worse with time, and it is related to the loss of memory and cognitive function over time, specifically in the hippocampus, which is the area of the brain responsible for learning new things and retaining memories. So there is no cure. There is only certain medications that they can prescribe now that sort of delay the onset of symptoms or improve current symptoms. And there's different types of Alzheimer's. There's late onset Alzheimer's, there's early onset Alzheimer's, but in general, Alzheimer's disease is the gradual decline of cognitive function due to buildup of plaques in the brain that result in neuron death. Okay, so how does exercise affect the brain? Like we talked about, exercise is good for weight control. It can make us more toned. It can make us feel good. But how specifically does it benefit the brain, and how does it relate to offsetting these neurocognitive diseases? So the first thing is, naturally, exercise feeds the brain. The brain requires a good amount of circulation because it requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of oxygen, a lot of nutrients in order to function optimally. So with exercise, specifically exercise that gets our heart rate up, the shearing forces from the capillaries in the brain, because the blood vessels are so small, if we don't exercise, if we don't provide the brain with more oxygen, increased blood flow that's pumping into the brain almost starves a little bit, and it's not going to get it's not going to function as optimally as it could if we are to exercise. There's been so many studies about this, and it's important overall. Most of the studies that I've looked into focus on aerobic exercise, but there is some studies, and it's emerging, how resistance training also benefits the brain. But it's so important that the heart rate gets up for an extended period of time to build the brain with the blood vessels that it needs to stay healthy. It also, we talked about the hippocampus in the previous slide, but it also improves memory, because our memory is, there's multiple different parts of the brain where memory is involved, but a lot of it is specifically involved in the hippocampus, and targets like something called brain-derived neurotropic factor affect how we process memories and how we retain information. The more BDNF we have, it increases our memory capacity, and exercise increases BDNF. It's a very important neurotropin that has been well researched in regards to brain health and its effects after exercise. And then it also pacifies stress. It reduces the stress receptors in the hippocampus and minimizes the effect of stress hormones in the brain. So this allows, if you feel less stress, it allows the brain to optimally function better, and function in the most proper way. Okay, so let's get in a little bit more about what is BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotropic factor. Like I said, it's a neurotropin in the brain. It is very important and very correlated to exercise. And it essentially is like growth hormone for brain cells. So whereas growth hormone helps our body with anti-aging, with forming new cells, getting rid of wrinkles, that type of stuff, brain-derived neurotrophic factor protects existing neurons, and it promotes neurogenesis, which is the formation of new neurons from neural stem cells. So this is what we want in our brains, to keep our cells healthy and functioning as best as possible. So it works with two other neurotropics, specifically insulin-like growth factor known as IGF, to promote neurogenesis, and then something called vascular endothelial growth factor, called VEGF, to promote angiogenesis, which is the formation of new blood vessels. So we talked about how exercise helps promote circulation, improved circulation in the brain. This is one of the reasons why, is it because it even creates blood vessels in the brain to, make more capillaries to provide more nutrients to the brain. It improves neuron survival, improves new brain tissue, and promotes plasticity. Neuroplasticity is the concept that the brain can be changed, and neurons can be changed and move. We learn new things, and brain tissue can be changed and improved upon over time. Okay, so as mentioned before, the hippocampus is a very important part of the brain that plays a large role in learning, memory, cognition, and therefore is related to cognitive decline. And when someone exercises and their serum levels of BDNF increase, they are mostly concentrated in the hippocampus. Um, so, regular exercise increases hippocampal size. It makes our brain bigger, specifically this region, and overall it improves cognitive function. There's a multitude of studies that shows for any age that exercise improves cognitive function and improves executive functioning and focus. Um, and then after one bout of exercise, so an acute bout of exercise, will increase BDNF levels. Now, if someone continues to exercise over a week, 2 weeks, months, years, those levels will continue to rise, and the baseline BDNF level will stay higher than someone who is sedentary. So that person who is performing regular exercise will naturally have higher BDNF levels, meaning that their brain is better at taking care of itself in sort of a, managing the cell growth and the previously mentioned benefits of BDNF versus someone who does not exercise. So to continue, BDNF increases as with aerobic exercise. There is some research stating that vigorous intensity, high intensity exercise is best to get the BDNF levels up. But overall, the duration of exercise, I believe, is what I researched as being the most important. So longer duration exercise offers the greatest numerical benefit of serum levels of BDNF. And then this paper, they summarize as saying, as the cognitive impairment in Alzheimer's dementia is due to neurodegeneration, neurotropic factors, including brain-derived neurotropic factor, may slow the progression of neurodegeneration and serve as promising strategy for Alzheimer's dementia intervention. So in 2012, they discovered something called a glymphatic system, which plays a role in how our brain cleans up after itself. These plaques accumulate over time, and the glymphatic system helps clean these plaques out every night when we sleep. And so I have a graphic here, and you can see it's just the fluid goes from one side to the other, and it's cleaning up all those waste products there and pushing them down into the body for systemic processing, getting it away from our brain. Like I said, it was discovered in 2012, and some inhibition of the glymphatic system may play a role in the accumulation of the neurofibrillary tangles that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. It's well known that exercise helps improve sleep, but they actually recently, in 2017, they studied the effects of the glymphatic system after exercise in mice, and the effects were really interesting. I've included here directly from the study. They said voluntary running effectively restored the loss of protein homeostasis seen as a reduction of the accumulation of amyloid deposits. Voluntary running also significantly attenuated the inflammatory activation of microglia and astrocytes. These beneficial effects were accompanied by a significant improvement in glymphatic clearance. They went on to say, our results show that 6 weeks of training significantly attenuated the activation of microglia and astrocytes. Furthermore, our data show that the bulk glymphatic flow was accelerated by physical training. Astrocytes or microglia are the brain cells in the body responsible for cleaning and removing and assisting in repair of the brain. So in summation, to sort of conclude on what we've learned, exercise has many health benefits as we know. It is said that Alzheimer's may be prevented by exercise. If someone is to exercise over time at moderate to vigorous intensities, they decrease their risk of developing Alzheimer's by 45% and dementia by 30%, which is an astounding number. I think more people need to be aware of. It increases blood flow to the brain to promote oxygenation and nutrient delivery. It improves the glymphatic function and removes proteins and waste in the brain during sleep. And most research so far about the benefits of exercise focus on aerobic exercise, but resistance training it too is emerging and is thought to have beneficial effects to brain function as well. There's just not as much research on it right now. And here are my references. Thank you all so much. I hope you learned something. Bye.